Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Erndales. It's so nice to see you. It's been a while since I've done a podcast, so I thought I had better get my act together and get on here and do one. So my name is Dale. I live in Western Canada. I live in Western Manitoba, Canada. It's Thursday, February the 4th, and it's a beautiful, warming spring day today. I mean, for us, probably not, wouldn't be too warm for some of you, but for us, it's melting, and the snow's disappearing, and been lots of bird activity out there. It's a little foggy this morning. I think we were predicted to have quite a bit of fog this morning, and it's not as bad as what sometimes it is, but yeah, so spring is starting here, and it's Marches can be very iffy where we live. We have mostly our year is split up in two. We have 6 months of summer and 6 months of winter, generally speaking. And we've had actually quite a mild winter. We've had 3 or 4 weeks of really, really cold weather, but the rest has been kind of mild. We don't have much snow at all this winter, so it hasn't been that bad, but March can be miserable here. We can have, really warm temperatures and then just really cold and a lot of snow. So we don't really consider ourselves getting into spring until we're through March. March is the one that we just can't wait to get through, because April's usually very nice. Anyway, it's a typical March day, really. It's nice, but tomorrow could be really miserable, so who knows. So if you're new to my channel, I'll just tell you a little bit about what I do. I am a multi-crafter, and my podcast is sort of about my multi-crafts. I don't really, it's not a knitting podcast, it's not a floss tube, although I have a lot of everything in there. So I do cross stitch, I do knitting, crocheting, some sewing, applique, I do journal making, I do eggery. I do so many different things. So, from time to time, when mood hits me, I might bring something totally different to the podcast. But at the moment, what I'm doing a lot of is stitching. I'm doing a lot of embroidery, cross stitch, that kind of thing. And I have been doing stitching, cross stitching and embroidery and crewel work for years and years. I'm talking probably 40 some years. I started doing it when I was a child, actually, and my mother taught me how to stitch, and I've always loved to do embroidery work and stitching. And when I was young, I did big crewel pictures for most of my family members, and big cross-stitch pictures and things like that. In fact, even now, I have a lot of my own work that I did when I was in my 20s. I'm 65 now. When I did my 20s, they're on my walls still. And so it's something that I've always really enjoyed. And I took quite a long time away from it. I was doing other things, other crafts, and raising a family and working full time. And so, how things go. And I started working on a big project a year and a half ago, and that sort of got me back into stitching again. And so it's been fun. I've been really enjoying it, and I've been doing quite a bit of it. So for this podcast, it's going to be quite a bit of floss tube and a little bit of sewing and a few other things too. So I think what I'll do is I will talk about my fully finished objects first. I have a few. The first one, it will be my Mary Angle bricked crib quilt, and I don't have it here anymore. But if my last video that I did, it's not a floss tube, I showed that project completed, and if you want to see that, just go back to the last video, the one before this one. And I went through it with the camera very closely, and I showed you all the different components of it. But what it was, actually, I can probably find the picture. hold on a minute. Yes. I still have this. This, so it's not going to show very good. This is not a very good picture of it, but this, it was a classic Mother Goose crib cover is what it was called. It was a kit by Busilla, and I bought it. It'll be 2 years in fall that I bought it, and I started working on it for my nephew's then-to-be newborn baby. And it was a massive undertaking. I did not realize it at the time that it would be what it was. And so I started stitching on it, and then last summer hit, and I put it away because I don't do a lot of handwork when I'm out in the garden, and I'll explain that later. Anyway, for probably 5-6 months I didn't touch it, and then I picked it back up in fall, and I pretty much have been working exclusively on that piece. And I finished it, and it has been gifted to my nephew, and in particular his little baby boy. And I have to tell you this, and I hope I don't get emotional, because it was very emotional for me to see this. They don't live here. I had to send it in the mail, and they got it in the mail on Monday, and then I got a notice saying that they got the parcel, but they weren't going to open it until Tuesday, and could we do a FaceTime while they opened it? I should have known this was going to cause me grief, but it was good grief. Anyway, they did this. We got on Facebook, and they opened it up, and they put it on their table. And, you know, the parents were all excited about this. You know, they were oohing and awing. But what I did not expect was the reaction of the baby. He is going to be 2 years old in September. He was inquisitive and kept wanting to get up there and see. So they put him on the quilt on the table. And this little fellow, I couldn't believe it. He went around and he touched its characters. There's Mother Goose, the cow jumping over a big moon, the dish and the spoon, and the cat with the fiddle. He's the main character, and there's 3 blind mice. So there's lots of characters, and they're big and bold colored. He went around to each character and touched them and put his head on, and then gave them a kiss, and he was doing those little chitter chatter. I was just dumbstruck. I could not believe this child had this reaction to the quilt. And it was like he wanted to lay right down on it, you know, and he was touching all the characters' faces. And the quilt is very well designed, that there's a lot of shading, so the faces of everything just kind of pop at you, you know. Anyway, they took him off the quilt, and he fussed. He wanted to go back on, so they put him back on, and he was going around kissing all the characters. It was so, I don't know. I can't explain it. It just was so heartwarming to see his reaction to the quilt. So I know he loves it, and that's really all I care about. So that finished object, if you want to see it, it's on the, and I'm getting emotional. See, it said I would. It's on the video before this one, and I did quite a long thing with it. So go on and have a look at that if you're interested. I don't think I'll ever do one of those again, though. That was very, very time-consuming. I don't think I have enough time to finish another one at my age, but anyway. So the other things I fully finished is I am participating in the monthly Orny sale on Instagram. And what it is you do a cross stitch or any kind of stitched ornament one a month for 12 months. And at the end of the year, you have 12 ornaments. So I have finished, this is my January ornament. And I purposely have finished these very plainly, because the person that I know I'm going to give this to is a no fuss guy. and he isn't going to want a bunch of bows and hoo-ha on there. So I'm being mindful of how I am finishing some of these because of who is going to receive them. So this is January's, and the person who's going to get this is a hunter. So that's why I'm not fussing with it too much. And here is February's. I've already ripped this off. I just actually glued this on here today, and the glue wasn't dry enough, so excuse this. This is supposed to go down. But this is February's little snowman. This was cute, this one, to do. And I have started on March, and the snowman, the February snowman, came from this Leisure Arts little book, and it's called Frosty Folks. And there's all kinds of snowmen in it. Some are pictures, some are ornaments, some are like this, standalone little character things. But here are the ornaments. Now this is the one that I did for February, and this is the one that I have started now for March. And actually, I wasn't going to do all four, but I think I am, because I teach piano, and I have 3 students out of 4 from one family, and they're all boys. And so I think I will do all of these, one for each of the boys, my piano students. I think they will, well, I know they will really love them. So this is the one I'm starting now for March, and this is only as far as I have gotten, which is not far at all. I just started the other night. So that is, I guess we're into works in progress now. Fully finished is over with. So yeah, so I'm going to be doing that ornament for March, and then I think I'll just do April and May, finish the other 2 as well, and that little series will be done. So other works in progress, I have a few. Well, this one, I've showed you this before, I think. Look at this lovely project bag. Isn't it stunning? I'm being sarcastic. I need to start making some project bags because I don't have, well, I have one, and I'll show that to you because it's one from the 70s. Anyway, here's another work in progress. It's this little Lindy Stitches, 3 snows on a robin's tail, and then spring. And I started it on 32 count Belfast linen, which was the called for, and I still am only this far. I tried working on it again yesterday, and I'm going to frog this because I can't work on linen like this. I can't see it. I have this thing up here, this magnifying light. It's great, but I still can't see these. I still can't work with linen anymore. My eyes are just not cooperating, so I'm going to frog this. I'm still going to do it, but this particular one's going to get frogged. And I'm going to do it on some kind of even weave fabric. I'm going to have to dye some. I don't have any of the ice blue. So this work in progress is going to be on hold for some time to come. I don't think it won't be done for this spring, that's for sure. So that's one work in progress. And then I have another one in another gorgeous project bag. Can you believe how gorgeous these project bags are? I get so green with envy when I watch a floss tuber showing me their projects and they pull out this gorgeous project bag. Yeah, well, I'm not there. Anyway, the next one that I'm working on is a Lizzie Kate, this one here. And it is, if you live to be 100, I want to live to be 100 minus 1 day so I never have to live without you. It's this one here. And then there's another little small there. And I I've done, well, this is where I am with it. And I actually could finish this very quickly, but I've kind of put it aside for a bit. I've done that much. I don't have much left to go. But I've decided on the pattern, there's some little motifs, and I'm not a fan of them. So I'm going to change them up, and I'm going to do like around here and in the spots here where there's some openings, I'm going to do like vines with some flowers and leaves and things like that. I think that would be more to my style. Not so cutesy, maybe, because I find that one is just a little too cute for me. So that's what I'm doing with that one. So this one is, you know, I could finish this in an hour, but I'll show you why I haven't been doing these ones. So that one is another work in progress, and I will finish that one fairly soon. And then after I finished the baby quilt, I thought, you know, I have drawers full of unfinished projects. I gotta go and have a look and see what's in there. And I'm so glad I did, because I came up with something that I started in the 1980s. I think it was maybe about 1988, 89 that I started. And it's this one here. Isn't it gorgeous? Whoops, I'm trying to not get the... So I bought this at a place called Crafts Canada. And if any of you are in Canada, you will know how long ago Crafts Canada was in here, because it's been gone for years and years. And it was $7.49. That tells you how long ago this pattern was. And I've called this Erna from the day I bought it. And I bought it because it reminded me of my mom, and her name was Erna. And it has a little farm scene. It's a farm girl, actually, and there's a farm in behind. And she's underneath this gazebo or whatever it is. And I fell in love with it when I first saw it, and I still love it. So I decided I'm finishing this. So I found the pattern, and then I went looking for my piece. I'm just unrolling it here a little. And this is where I am with it. It's been years since I've touched this. I'm thinking it's been maybe 25 years since I've touched this. And I'm determined now to finish this and get this up on the wall, because it is just, the colors are still something that I can use. Reds are something that I love. And yeah, so this is going to get finished. And I'm not putting it away anymore until it's done. I'm using all the called for flosses, and it's being done, I think, on, it's Ada. I think it might be 16 count. I'm not sure. I don't have the original thing from it anymore. And all the flosses I have in this lovely project bag. I'm going to show you a project bag. The only project bag I have. This is from the 70s. I bought this. I don't know where I got this from. It's a project bag for cross stitch. And I'll show you inside. It's actually quite nice. Got a nice zip all the way around it. And then when you open it up, there's a pocket here at the top. As you see, there's more cross stitch pictures in here, unfinished ones. And then there's a place, it's a plastic thing to put your flosses in. And you can organize them. It's like, there, I'll show it that way. And then on this other side, there's another pocket with some more unfinished projects. And it's like a 3-ring binder, so you can add more. Here, do it this way. It's like a 3-ring binder, so you could, if you could find more of these, you could add more of these in here. So it's like a book, and then you put your projects in here, your flosses in here, and you just zip it all up, and away you go. So that is my one and only project, and it's quite heavy with unfinished objects, which I will get to at some point. But I would like to make some other project bags, because this one's full. Okay, so the other work in progress that I have is that right there. I started that a couple of weeks ago. For a long time, I've wanted to do a wall quilt for my living room. And I'm not a quilter per se. I do some quilting, but not this kind of quilting. I do applique and little things like mug rugs and stuff like that. This is actually my very first pieced quilt project, and I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out so far. There's two quilt blocks. This one in the corner is called Weather Vane, and then the one in the middle here, that one is called the Flower. And both of them, I actually shouldn't have chosen such difficult pieces to start with. They both have a lot of tiny little triangles, which was a bit of a struggle, but I actually didn't have to ruin anything. I've used each one that I made. So I took my time, I cut it out very carefully, and I've sewed it very carefully, and I'm quite pleased with how it's turning out. I didn't have enough backing for the backing, but I got some yesterday. So now I'm going to, the quilt top is finished. Now I have to start quilting it. And my new dilemma is, do I hand quilt it or do I machine quilt it? I don't know quite what I should do. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to hand quilt it and maybe just do in the ditch or something simple like that. And then there's going to be a black binding all the way around it. So hopefully I can get that finished in the next few weeks and get it up on the wall, because I'm really anxious to get it up on my wall. So that's my other work in progress. Oh, no, it's not. I have one more. The other thing I have is something that, excuse me, the other thing I have is something I'm designing of my own. So if you do watch that video from the one that's before this one, from a couple weeks ago or last week, I can't remember when I did that one, there is more about this project that I'm going to show you as well. Last year I designed a cow, and it's a quilt art is what it is. I put a bunch of different colors together and made this cow, and I framed it on a canvas. And so when I did that one, I actually sold quite a few of them, and it was such a popular thing that I thought, living where I am, and I want to sort of do more of this kind of stuff, just because I like to create things. But when I finished the cow, and there was such a good response to it, I thought I should try doing a horse. But I'm not an artist, really. I try to draw and things like that, but I'm not great. But we had every year we have a rodeo come to town, and so we have a parade, and the parade always goes right by my front door. One year I was sitting out there and I had my camera, and I was just snapping horse pictures like crazy as they were going by the horses, and I got some really good chest to head shots of very close-ups of horses. So I got out these pictures a few weeks ago, and I started trying to draw this on just paper, and you wouldn't believe the pile of paper that went in the garbage from my failures. But I finally did manage to come up with something that I could work with. So this is my prototype of my horse picture. This one is in batiks, and this one is going to be for me. I always keep the first of my creations for myself. So let's roll it up here a bit. As you can see, the batik, you really can't, well, you can sort of see the outline of the jaw and the nose and things around here. But what I'm going to do is I will embellish it with thread when I sew it. I'm going to change the colors of threads. Like down here, I will do a darker thread, and maybe along here I'll do a little bit darker thread, and all these I'll make a light. And there's a bit of a blaze here, you can't even really tell. I might change the thread, maybe put a pink or something. All of this will be by the time I'm finished with the threading or sewing it on here, it'll pop out. You will see his or her face very clearly as opposed to the chest part. It'll really be very pronounced. There's an eye that goes here and there's an eye that goes here. And even in the ear, I've got a different color of, you can see I've already started a little bit, but I will use thread to make an inner ear here. So yeah, this is my horse. And I have, if you watch that other video, I have 3 more on the go. I actually have buyers for several of them. There's people waiting for me to finish these because they want them on their walls. So that's another work in progress. But this, I don't work on it only when I really want to, because it's something that I'm creating and I have to be in that right mindset to figure out what I'm doing, kind of thing. And I'll get the urge and then I'll work on it for hours and hours and hours and make great headway. So this one is ready to be stitched. I have just put the pieces down with heat and bond for right now, but I'm going to be stitching it, start stitching. And when I start stitching these is sort of when I get more ideas of how I'm going to do it. What I'm thinking about right now on these horses is the manes. I'm trying to come up with a plan in my head on how I'm going to put a mane on, because I am going to put manes on this. So, and what color am I going to use and how am I going to attach it, you know? So I don't want to stitch it on. I want it to free flow. I don't know how else to say it, but anyway, I'll figure it out. It's a work in progress as well, and it's a creative work in progress. So, you know, it's trial and error until I get what I want. So that's kind of how I work these things. And then just looking at my notes here, the only other things that are work in progress is I have started my seeds for my garden, and that's a big deal for me. Where I live, we don't have a lot of garden centers, at least not big ones, and so for me, I have a lot of perennial, or I'm creating a lot of perennial beds in my gardens. And established perennials are not something that are around here too much, and you can't really buy a lot of variety of perennials. So I just buy seeds and I start them myself. So I've got a lot of varieties in my garden that are not anywhere around here. And that's kind of what I like. So I did start my tomatoes and my peppers, and I've started some perennials, but I'm waiting for some more seeds to come in the mail from an order to start the rest of them, which will happen anytime. And I have a little indoor greenhouse that I use. It's got six layers, I think, or 6 trays, and then you just start your seeds, and it has a zipper thing around it, and it keeps all the heat and the moisture in. It's great. It works fine. I have it in my sunroom / dining room, which is very bright and very warm. So seeds germinate very quickly in that little thing. So that's my other work in progress. And as the spring progresses, my attention will turn to gardening more and more and more, because we have a very short season here for gardening, and I love it so much. We're outside in the summertime. We never come in. We're out there first thing in the morning, and you know, we're still out there in the evening. So I get very little handiwork done during the summer, and I think that's okay, because like I say, we have winter for such a long time, and it's silly to sit in the house when it's so beautiful outside. So that's sort of my podcast for today. I hope everybody is staying healthy, and I hope, you know, that we all can have our vaccinations in a timely manner. It's not happening that way here, but I have heard it is a bit better in some other areas of the world. But I guess it is what it is. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is that I'm going to be going through that, behind that quilt there, that's 2 huge bookcases, and it's all patterns uh, of all kinds, multi different crafts of patterns, pattern books and pattern sheets and all this stuff. But I am going to be going through my cross stitch patterns because I have a lot of purchased patterns, you know, these kind of things, even books and things like that, that I know I am never going to use. And I want to start moving them on to people who will use them and appreciate them. So before my next podcast, I intend to go through these patterns and things like that. And I'm gonna pull out the ones that I know for a fact I'm never going to use, and I want to pass them on to you. So if I think what I'll do is have a little show and tell next time. And if there's something that you see that you want, I'd be just happy to send it to you and gift it to you, because I would rather do that than just put them in a pile going to, you know, the Sally Ann or the secondhand shop, and then they sit there and they end up throwing them out because nobody wants them. So if you are interested in that, then, you know, watch out for my podcasts, and I will be definitely doing that. I have a lot of patterns, even some that people have given me. You know, when you do certain crafts, other people sort of say, oh, I don't want this anymore, here. And I'm kind of going to do the same thing with you. I don't want it, so here. But I want it to go to people who I know are actually going to appreciate it and use it. So that'll be coming up. So, you know, subscribe, like, comment, do what you can do, so that you can see when my next podcast comes up, because that's when I'll be doing that. And I'm not going to charge you anything, postage. I mean, these things are what they're patterns. It's not going to cost a lot of money. I don't believe in, you know, as a crafter, I've always struggled with having the money to do the things that I wanted to do. And if somebody gifted me a pattern, I was so grateful for it. And I know most crafters are exactly the same way, you know, and some of this stuff it's getting very, very expensive to do our hobbies. And I don't need to, I'm not rich, but I don't need to have you pay for everything that I want to share with you. That's just not who I am. So this is the way it'll be. So for now, I want you all to take care of yourself, stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you in a few weeks, I hope. And hopefully, you know, next time we meet, spring will be here for sure. The robins will be back, and oh boy, that'll be just wonderful. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.